I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Oops, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Francis Ellis, joined by my co-host, Giulio Gallerati. G, how are you?
Good to see you, man. How's everything?
Well, I'm excited because we've got a very special guest today.
Love it.
And I actually mean probably the highest profile guest we've had. It's Rob Huebel, everybody. Rob, how are you?
I'm great. If I'm the highest profile guest, I'm worried about the quality of the show.
Well, I don't know who else. We've had some pretty good guests.
We're trending upward.
Yeah,
who's been the worst guest so far?
Oh, good question. Have we had any? Have we had any guests where we didn't end up airing the interview?
Yes, we have, but that was because
Really?
he decided last minute that he didn't. He got self-conscious about it.
Oh, was it the My Pillow guy?
No, but I
sucks.
wish we got that guy. What's up with that guy? He's randomly partisan.
I think he's a huge Trump supporter.
Yeah.
He's just a weirdo. I think he started a pillow company so he could fuck pillows, and then it caught on and it became a big thing. He's like, oh wait, I gotta sell these pillows. I can't just fuck them. By the way, can we swear on this? I shouldn't be swearing.
Oh
Yeah,
no, you
absolutely.
must. We would insist that you do. Pillows intercourse is tough. You need at least two as a male, but women I've found out actually use pillows quite often for
Is that true?
stimulation. Yeah, so that's a little factoid for our listeners. Everyone knows Rob Huebel from. I was a fan of Human Giant. There was a sketch you did that has stuck with me to this day. It was the cutting your dick off for viral fame. And you and Aziz did it, and Paul Scheer was in it, and you cut your dick off and then got 10 million views, and then Aziz just made funny faces. And there was a line where they said, what are the drawbacks for you? And you said, well, now my pee sort of spatters out of a hole above my testicles.
Yeah, it kind of sputters. My urine kind of sputters out of a hole above my testicles.
And I'll never be able to have children.
I'll never be able to have children. And then Aziz is his problem is everywhere I go, I get recognized, and people always want to get their pictures taken with me. So it's kind of a hassle, So
sometimes he gets cramps in his faces. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets cramps in his faces from making so many funny faces. Yeah, the idea is just that, you think you're doing something cool to make a viral video, and then someone else does something way easier, and then you're just stuck with your decision. But when we shot that, I remember when we shot that, that was a million years ago, but they wanted it to look like I actually cut my dick off. And so they had these hedge clippers, or those those clippers that you use
shears.
Shears to shear off a branch or something. But I remember when we did it, I put it way too close to my dick. I was just, kind of messing around, and then I didn't obviously cut myself, but it was way too close, and now whenever I watch that video, I always kind of cringe because I remember how close I came to actually cutting my dick off.
Yeah. God. And I also, there's the sound of it too. And they clearly spiced that up a little.
Yeah, we might have sweetened that a little bit.
Yeah. It was pretty, it was harrowing to watch in a way, but
there's really a profound message to that too.
How much does that precipitate where we are now? I mean,
very much so.
That was a 2007 or 8 sketch, and now we're in TikTok land, and in people willing to do anything.
It's weird. It's weird for sure when you make something and then years later, not only does it hold up, but it's sort of predicted the future. Just sort of our attitudes about fame, and our attitudes about what's funny, and but just trying to get famous. Everyone wants to, there was some crazy statistic I heard that I think like 95% of like young people think that they're going to be famous. Like everyone just thinks they're going to be famous. Like, oh, well, I don't need to get a job. I'm going to be famous. Like, I'm going to be famous. Like that's like a real thing in people's minds, that like everyone thinks they're going to be famous. So I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
Right.
That message that you just said hit home to me in a very poignant way. One time I was a junior in college and I went out to Los Angeles to do a 2-week internship in the entertainment industry, and it was very broad. And I was staying at that housing development that's like pretty famous out there that everyone stays in.
Are they like apartments?
Yeah.
Is it called the Oaks or Oakwood or something like that?
Oakwood, I think, is
Yeah.
exactly what it was called. And in the main office, right, they have behind the counter all the headshots from all the like young actors that came and stayed there before they were famous. And there were probably hundreds of headshots, and I didn't recognize a single person.
Oh, dude, how old were you when you did that internship?
I must have been 21.
And did you just pick that apartment complex randomly?
It was set up through the program that I was in.
Because that company, it's kind of famous. Like it's just a random apartment complex, like anything else. But for some reason, a ton of child actors like end up staying there with their parents, or like wannabe child actors, and they come out for pilot season. And for people that are listening, pilot season is in the spring, and it's when they're making all the new TV shows, the prospective TV shows. So all these little kids come out to audition from all over the country, and so many of them stay at these apartments. And so it's really weird. There's a documentary about that apartment complex on.
Jesus.
It used to be on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but you'd have to Google. I can't remember the name of it, but like it's just about the fucking dreams that are crushed, for these little kids. Like they come out there and like the people that manage the apartments put on like weird workshops, and like they refer all the kids to like one headshot photographer that they're clearly getting kickbacks from. It's like this whole racket. And then, all the kids come out and maybe like one of them gets a pilot, and then the rest of them go home, and their parents like spent a ton of money. It's a bleak documentary, but
Damn.
that's hilarious that you stayed there. Wow.
Yeah, it's like it's like an asylum set up for the very same families that bring their children to America's Got Talent auditions.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn, dude.
It says a lot about you too, as a person that you would stay there, like a single dude in his 20s, like just hanging out with all these like 8-year-olds.
Yeah, well, I love children. So
Get them all young, baby.
Yeah.
You're always talking about how much you love children. That seems weird.
That housing complex was also featured in Judd Apatow's Netflix show Love. I don't know if you guys ever watched that.
I haven't seen it. I'm buddies with Paul Rust.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
and Gillian, but I haven't seen the show. I feel terrible for saying that.
Sounds like that's a strong friendship. So, the reason I bring Netflix up.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Paul? Hey, what's up? Oh no. Oh yeah, I haven't gotten to the show yet. Okay, I'll watch it later. Talk to you later. Bye. Sorry, that was my friend Paul Rust.
You handled that so quickly. How timely.
It's so weird that he called.
Well, we mentioned Netflix because we want to give you a plug for this fantastic documentary coming out on May 16th.
I think it's May the 11th.
May the 11th. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
And it is about psychedelics. We've all just watched it. It's fantastic. And now I can't even remember the name.
It's called, wow, you're really doing a great job. It's called Have a Nice Trip.
Have a Nice Trip. I wasn't going to get it.
And it's Adventures in Psychedelics.
Yeah.
As well.
And it's all about psychedelics, and it has a lot of cool, funny people in it. And it has like Sarah Silverman and Paul Scheer and Rob Corddry and the guy
also
from
Anthony Bourdain and Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. I
R.I.P.
know that's pretty insane. Sting. I know you guys like Sting.
Yeah,
You guys
Sting.
are always talking about Sting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's tons of people. But I haven't gotten to see it yet. You said it was that you liked it.
Yeah, I liked it because it's sort of a instructional video on how to avoid having, how to do psychedelics in a controlled way such that you don't open Pandora's box to the horrors that many have experienced.
Yeah. I wonder right now if, because of the situation we're living through, if there will be more of that. If people are like, oh, I'm at home, I'm safe, my girlfriend's here with me, or, whatever, I can Zoom with my friend and we'll freak each other out. I don't know. I wonder if people, because they're a little bit bored, might be more open to that.
Totally. I have a very crazy tripping story from the beginning of all this, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I took mushrooms with the two people that I was staying with at the time. And we were having a great time, and I'm not kidding you, like clockwork. And this is right at the beginning where it was a stressful time. The numbers were doubling every day of people getting infected with coronavirus, all that stuff. And out of nowhere, the girl that I was with goes, I'm not feeling too well. And the guy that I'm with goes, me either. And he just keels back out of his chair and slaps on the floor and starts going,
what?
And I was like, holy shit. I was like, dude, I literally thought it was the craziest thing ever. He kind of like snapped out of it after 15 or 20 seconds, but it was terrifying and like a massive bug out.
Well, just for, because people won't see the video of this, right? This is a podcast. So what you are just acting out a seizure.
Yeah, sorry.
Your friend had a seizure and you did nothing to help him.
I know I did. He's a big guy. He's probably 225, 6'4", like big guy. And I tried to peel him off the ground. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. And fortunately, once he sat up, he was kind of came to and he had no idea what had happened.
Oh, that's terrifying. What the
Yeah.
fuck? So
And it was crazy. They both felt like shit at the same exact time. It was really creepy. And like,
wow. And you guys were just taking mushrooms?
yeah. And not even that many. Like it was a very like not ideal situation.
Yeah. I feel like the larger question is like, what would you think during right at the beginning of the pandemic, like when we don't really know what's going on and the world could be ending, like, why would that be like a celebratory time for you where you were like, I'm going to fucking have a blast?
I had my reservations about doing it because of that, because it's like you tend to see the big picture better. And I was trying to talk everybody out of it. I'm not even joking. I'm not. And they're like, it's fine. And then they convinced me it was fine. And we were having a great time until obviously we weren't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Rob, in Giulio's defense, he's taken mushrooms many times before. So this wasn't some, might as well shoot for the moon here.
I've talked people out of it also during this time because of what you just said.
You've talked people out of taking mushrooms right now.
Who haven't done it before. They're like, this is a good time to take mushrooms. I'm like, no, it's not.
Right. Yeah, I feel like, and I'm not an expert. Like I've taken mushrooms maybe like 7 times in my life, and I've never taken enough to like hallucinate. Like I've only taken enough to basically feel like I'm a grizzly bear, like you're just like, you're out. I always like try to go out on like a hike with some friends. Like I did it at my bachelor party, like 6 years ago. And, just went on like an awesome hike with like my best friends. And we were up in the mountains, and you just become a grizzly bear. You're just like, what is this? A bush. Look at these berries. Look at that fucking hawk. That hawk is amazing. You just like are laughing at the insanity of life and how absurd nature is, and like, what is friendship and who am I? And then you sort of like detach from really who you are. You have that like I've had that experience where you sort of lose yourself, like you lose that sense of what you think you are, and so you just sort of detach from your identity. I've had that, but I've never had enough to actually like see colors or anything like that, I've
I've tried mushrooms a couple times, but similarly, never an amount that transported me to another dimension. And I felt disappointed because I was too scared to try LSD.
Yeah, me
And
too.
and yet I wanted to experience the, alternate view and watch my hand kind of grow ferns and all that. And like you, I was more just kind of giggly, and it was a little adjacent to just being high on weed, I thought.
Yeah, I also went down a real rabbit hole when everyone was like doing DMT, because I was like, oh, what's that about? Like, what's
Yeah.
ayahuasca? And people were like smoking DMT, which I think people still do. But I was really curious about that, and I would like listen to like Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yeah,
And,
he talks about it.
yeah, and like Duncan Trussell and some of those, and I was just like so curious about like that. But that sounded so intense that I felt like I feel like that ship has sailed for me.
Yeah.
And I think I would probably have like a mental snap, and I would get like stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, and also the last thing that you want, I feel like right now, is to end up in the hospital on drugs. Like there would be a terrible time to go to the hospital in general. But you just don't want to go there on. People are like, oh my God, what's going on? You're like, oh, I took too many mushrooms. You're like, fuck you. People are dying, you asshole. Get the fuck out of here.
100%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they do say that, like, I feel like as far as this sort of stuff goes, it's important to have like the right set and setting. They always talk about that, like just that you're in the right setting and that you're in the right like mindset. I feel like if you are thinking a lot about, someone that died that about, or if you're going through a hard time with like depression or something like that, like I feel like it might amplify that. So that would be not cool. Like I feel like you're not gonna get out of that funk because of it. But I think it's true that like if you are feeling good and feeling positive and you're in a good situation and your friend is there and you're in a safe area where you can't get hurt, like then it's supposed to be like that's the right way to do it.
Yeah,
Totally.
they definitely they spend a lot of time, painting the best environments in which to try these psychedelics. But I do think one thing that wasn't really mentioned in the doc is sort of how let's say that mushrooms are your starter, and then there's sort of a hierarchy of intensity. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I viewed it. Like I would try mushrooms and then maybe graduate to LSD, and then after that, I guess DMT, or ayahuasca is the one that seems so off the reservation.
Well, yeah, I think ayahuasca is DMT. I think it's just in a different format. Like ayahuasca, I think is the actual like plant, and so people make a tea out of that you drink, and but that also, I think it's like a really long trip.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like 12 hours or something like that, and the chemical component in ayahuasca is DMT. So I think people figured out a way to like extract that and just smoke DMT, and that lasts only like I think like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's like that thing you've heard about where it's like, oh, I thought I was in hell. Like I thought I was going to die. I was convinced that I died, and I went to hell and I was suffering in hell. And then all of a sudden it broke through and there was like an angel talking to me, and it was like this mother figure, it's like,
Yeah.
it goes down really deep, and then you like come out of it and it's supposed to be awesome. But it just seems like really exhausting. Like I kind of just want to like watch a good movie and play video games when I'm high, I don't know if I'm ready to like fight the devil or like, jack off the devil's cock or anything like that. I don't want
that's worse.
that.
Yeah. Whenever I hear DMT, I think of the demilitarized zone, the DMZ, between North and South Korea. And I have to believe that would be one of the worst places on earth to try hallucinogenics.
I feel like you're right. Absolutely. Do not, for your listeners, I can categorically say, do not take hallucinogenics and go to the DMZ on DMT. That would be, you will get shot and killed right away.
This would be a great sketch, dude. DMT at the DMZ.
Bro, I thought you said DMT. No, bro, I said DMZ.
Speaking of bad places, so in Russia right now, in the last 2 weeks, 3 doctors who were outspoken about the bad conditions and treatment and resources that they had to treat coronavirus patients have mysteriously fallen out of windows.
Yeah, that's their thing in Russia. Like, people just fall out of windows all the time.
Exactly. And in the documentary, they say that was always the way that parents and public service announcements would discourage young kids from getting into hallucinogenic drugs. They would say there was always this case of a guy at a party thought he could fly and jumped out of a window. Do you think that those doctors in Russia were on hallucinogenics?
Absolutely. They definitely were. They definitely did not have anything to do with Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
And now, I'm sure if we Googled around, we would find out that everyone in their family also fell out of a window. And yeah, dude, it's because of drugs. It's not because of Putin dangling them out of a window.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy. That I didn't know that. I did see in the news that, like, for a long time, like, Russia didn't have any of the virus, supposedly. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's crazy. And then it just turns out, like, oh, they were just lying. Like, it's actually really bad there. And now, like, and I also read that, like, their hospitals are garbage.
Yeah.
And, so they're just, like,
really overrun.
Yeah. And the most telling thing for me, and I don't know how political to get on your show. I don't want to offend you guys or your listeners. Actually, I don't fucking care if I offend you guys or your listeners. But
we don't care at all.
We don't care either, dude.
The most telling thing of all of this has been there are pictures of Putin going into, like, these places to tour, like, hospitals and stuff. And you know how, like, Pence won't wear a mask and, like, Trump won't wear a mask? Putin is in a fucking yellow full hazmat suit with, like, oxygen tank and, like, 3 different, like, respirator masks. Like, he looks like out
Walter
of the
White.
Agent. Yeah, like, exactly. He looks like Walter White in Breaking Bad. And, like, you're like, oh yeah, that guy knows the truth about this shit. And our guys are like, oh, well, it's going away. It's going away. But anyway.
I'm plugging my computer in. Hold on.
Yeah.
Classic, dude.
Classic Francis, man.
One thing that I always notice about hallucinogenic stuff that I never really understood, there's something interesting about, you can never really understand it until you experience it. This idea of, like, going to another universe. It's far less cool than it sounds, in the sense that, like, sometimes that other universe, like you guys were alluding to before, is seeing your life in a way you don't want to. And then you can't unthink that shit that you learn about.
Yes, I think that's really true, man. I think that's part of all of this that people don't really talk about is, like, it's really revealing. I think that a lot of this, and I've had that to some degree on mushrooms, where you do go deep on yourself. You can go, like, really deep, and that can be good or bad. Like, it depends on where you are in your life, and it depends on, like, what's going on with you. But it also depends on, like, how willing you are to like, work on, like, to see that shit about yourself and remember that you had that thought. Like, for example, if you're like, oh man, I could really be a better friend to, like, I'm like, I'm not always there for my bros, and I'm always, like, thinking about myself and my own shit, and, like, I could just reach out to them. And I'm just picking a random example, but, like, if I feel like if you see something about yourself that you don't like, you can work on that, but I think people think it's just fun and games and you're just, like, laughing and, like, but it's sort of, for me, when I've done mushrooms, because I hadn't done it since my bachelor party like 6 years ago, but then someone gave me some, and I did it in like December, I think, of this past year, like right before all of it. Like, just to be clear, my story is cooler than yours, because I wasn't celebrating the death of thousands and thousands of people. This was prior to all of that. So I didn't know anything about the pandemic. I wasn't like, hey, look at all of the destruction of the world, I'm going to go have a party. I was just like, it was a random Saturday. And, but like it's also different for me because like I'm married and I have a child. And so I never get the chance to go and like have a day off where I could do that safely. So, it was, my wife had gone out of town with our child. Like, she went to see the grandparents. So I had like a weekend to myself, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do mushrooms. I haven't done mushrooms in like 6 years. So I took mushrooms and just went on a day of like hiking and like Frisbee and just like listening to music, but just all outside, all near my house if something terrible happened, but just like walking through neighborhoods and like laughing and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was my most recent thing. But it wasn't, we made the mistake of playing golf, and I'm not a very good golfer. And we played at a public course near my house where what they do is they pair you up with, another twosome. So the day started out totally normal. We got there at like, 9 a.m, and we took mushrooms with like, some chocolate or whatever, started playing golf, and they paired us up with these other two random people. And it just happened to be two older Korean gentlemen who spoke zero English at all. And my friend and I don't speak any Korean. And my friend's like kind of a good golfer. I'm like, I golf like once a year at like someone's wedding or something. So I'm okay, but not great. But, we were fucking maniacs. In about an hour, we were like forgetting our clubs, driving to the next hole, getting lost, driving on the wrong side of the thing. I remember going to get the ball and picking up my ball, and it was the Korean guy's ball, and trying to explain to him how sorry I was that I picked up his ball and I wouldn't do that again. And, I was just, I was trying to explain to him that we were experiencing something that they weren't experiencing, but I didn't want to say we were on drugs. It was all so confusing to these guys. I think these guys thought like we were like American idiots. Like, they were like, oh, people in America suck. But so that was my most recent experience. But yeah, I didn't really have any kind of hallucination, or it was more just like, golf is confusing. Like, it was like that sort of thing.
Rob, are you a skier? Because I see that Rozzy hat that you're wearing.
Oh, I should have turned that around. I am a skier. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
would you recommend skiing on hallucinogenics, or is that dangerous?
Ooh, that seems like it would be. I haven't done that. I can't recommend that. I have skied while, after smoking a little weed, and I had mixed feelings about that.
I didn't like that either.
I became very cautious. Like,
yeah,
I lived in Aspen for a year after college. When I got out of college, there was like no jobs at all. And I was like, well, I'm going to move to Colorado for a year. So I lived in Aspen for a year and got to ski like every day. And so, so I'm okay. Like, I'm not great, but like, I can get around. And, but when you have some weed in you, I was like, oh, no. It was like, this is way too fast. Oh, that tree looks really deadly,
It's sort of like being on a road full of drunk drivers. You can't really avoid people as well as, and especially in Colorado now, I feel like everyone's high on the mountain.
Well, can I ask that? Is this a stupid question, but I don't ski. And are you allowed to ski drunk?
I don't think there's any way for them to. There's no like, there's no cops. Like ski
Right.
patrol is not like cops. Like that would be cool if like ski patrol would like pull you over and like
Breathalyze you?
yeah, and like tase you and take you to ski jail or whatever. But they don't have that. So you just go and it's kind of like every man for himself, every person for himself. But so yeah, so there's no way for them to prevent you from skiing drunk. But it's a little the logistics of drinking a lot and then skiing. It's kind of a hassle because then you have to go and like eventually you're gonna have to like piss somewhere, and then you have to like get out of your ski clothes. So it's just like so you end up like it's an athletic thing sort
Right.
of. I mean it's as athletic as like golf.
Right.
Right.
There's in the French Alps, there's a ski resort called, it's part of the Three Valleys, Maribel. And at the top, they have this sort of nightclub called Folly Deuce. And I think they have one in Aspen now too. But everyone goes there to do their après ski at 3:00. And afterwards, I mean, people are dancing on picnic tables. They're taking, champagne guns to the face, and then you have to ski down, and it's pretty irresponsible because they shut the lifts down, so you can't ride the gondola down, you can't take a lift down, you actually have to find your way down, and you kind of weave in and out of these people who are just hanging on.
Yeah, I have a hard time feeling bad for those people. I feel like if first of all, skiing is like a rich person's thing, so that sounds like a bunch of rich white people drinking, and then like skiing into trees, which I don't know.
Right.
I feel like we might be okay if some of those people get hurt,
Yeah.
This reminds me of something else that we were mentioning earlier. You have a new HBO series coming out with Mark Ruffalo that you had mentioned is kind of a more serious thing. Before we talk about that, I have seen you as like a guy who does comedy. Was there some kind of moment where you decided that you could also do straight stuff, or had you always trained for that kind of shit? How did you end up there?
The opposite. It's more just like I'm trying to. It's really hard. Like I think that sort of stuff. People think that comedy is. I do think that comedy is really hard. Like, and that's a function of like the writing. Like comedy is mostly dependent on like writing. Like it has to be really original and funny and surprising. And I guess also I mean it's also so driven by performance too. Like I was thinking about like Key and Peele, and like I was thinking of like a really really funny sketch show, and like the last one that I loved so much was like Key and Peele, or I don't know if you saw Tim Robinson's show.
Yeah, I love
I think
that.
You Should Leave.
Yeah,
It's just like so funny. So those guys are such strong performers that it's really I guess my point is comedy is hard because it's like the writing and the performing have to be like really good and really solid. So I've always thought like I can do comedy, like I feel pretty comfortable doing comedy, but I just wasn't sure if I could do anything serious. Like I was worried that that was like a level of performance that you would just be able to see right through, and you'd be like, I don't know, man, it kind of sucks. So I've sort of just been dabbling in it to see if I can do it, because it seems really, to me, that seems really hard. Like if people think comedy is hard, I was sort of like, I think I can make something funny. I don't know if I can do serious really well. Mm-hmm. So it was more just like an experiment to see, like, can I do it personally? And
sorry,
I'm not sure I'm great at it, but like I'm trying, just for curiosity's sake. I'm trying to like see if I can get good at that.
Cool.
It's I was going to say, I thought you were absolutely fantastic in The Descendants, which both of us have seen, and what a cool cast. George Clooney, you, Shailene Woodley, and Laird Hamilton.
Yeah, the ultimate bro.
What was it like being in a movie with Laird Hamilton?
Well, I don't think I ever got to meet Laird, but yeah, I was psyched. Well, I was super psyched to be in that movie, dude.
It was a great
that
movie.
movie, yeah, to me, that's a Alexander Payne movie. He's the director, and just all of his movies are like really solid, like writing and acting. And so, and fucking Clooney is like the best actor in the world. So I was literally, that was one of those situations where I was like, I'm very terrified. It was so, to me, I was like very self-conscious and like very terrified, because I was like, I'm a comedian. I don't want to fuck this up. And I don't want people watching this to suddenly be taken out of it. Like, wait, why is this comedian in there? So, it was just sort of like what I'm talking about. It's just like an experiment of like trying to see if I can do more of this stuff. And I have a really fun time doing serious stuff now. Like, I used to think I would hate it. But I really like it because it's just a challenge. It seems like it's something that like I'm not that familiar with. So it is really hard for me. But yeah, the Descendants was, I wish I'd gotten to hang out with Laird. I was in Hawaii for like, it was like the fucking best job, dude. I was in Hawaii shooting the movie for like 2 weeks or something. And I think I shot like 2 days. And like, so the first day I got there, I shot some stuff, and then I had like a week off. And I was like, well, so I should just go back to LA, right? And they were like, it would be better for us if you would stay here. And I was like, for real? And they were like, yeah, just stay, or, you can do whatever you want. And like, if we need you, we'll come get you. And I was like, all right. So I had like a week or something crazy, just like hanging out at the hotel. Like, it was an awesome hotel where they, like, you could take a surfboard out. And so I would just take a surfboard out every day and like try to learn that. It was really I thought this is how every job would be. Like, oh, this is Hollywood. This is what I've arrived. Like, every single job will be like this now. And it was so, I look back now, like that was the ultimate, like, luxurious experience of my life. And ever since then, everything has been ruined for me. Like now when I shoot something, I'm like, this fucking sucks. Where's my surfboard? Where's George Clooney? I'm leaving. This is bullshit.
It is booking the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition for a comedian.
Yeah, and it was like my first kind of like serious role. And so yeah, again, I just thought like this is how movies are. Like I'll be now and then the movie got nominated for like an Oscar, and they briefly showed, and at the Oscars that year for Clooney was nominated, they showed for his scene, like they're like, the nominations are George Clooney, and they fucking showed a scene I did with George Clooney at the Oscars. So I just thought like, well, I mean, yeah, this is how it goes. Like, look out, Hollywood, I've arrived, get the fuck out of my way. And, since then I've just realized like, oh yeah, I got very lucky. Like I got, like, that was, as you said, that was the Sports Illustrated swimsuit cover for me, Yeah. Like, and
hell yeah.
Was that the scene where George finds out that you knew that his wife was having the affair?
Yeah. Wow. You have a good memory of that movie. Yeah. He comes in and
starts running after that, right?
Yeah. For people that are listening, the movie is about, it's a comedy movie with a question mark, because like, it's so like, it's one of those movies that's like funny and sad also. George Clooney's wife is in a coma and she's going to die. Like, there's no way about it. She's been in a boating accident and she's going to die. She's on life support. So that's not funny. What's funny is like how the stuff that he's going through, because he very quickly figures out that his wife was cheating on him and she was having an affair with this guy. And so he goes on a quest to find out who the fuck was his wife sleeping with. And it ends up, so I won't ruin the movie for you, but so it's like this guy on a quest to find the motherfucker that his wife was sleeping with, and confront this guy before his wife dies. So it's a comedy, but it's like really grounded and like really sad and beautiful. You know, his wife dies, and he has this like, you know, it's super intense. And yeah, so that was the scene that you mentioned. I'm his best friend, which I am also in real life. I'm George Clooney's best friend. And he comes over to my house, and he finds out that my wife and I knew that she was having this affair, and we knew the guy. And so he starts like sweating me, and he's like, who the fuck is this guy? And I end up telling him, you know, who it is. And my wife is looking at me like, shut the fuck up, you know, you have to respect her privacy, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's the scene. And, you know, it's an awesome movie, and I was very lucky to do it. I also love that your question was about the HBO show that I should be promoting, but now I'm promoting like a 5-year-old George Clooney movie that you can watch on Netflix for free. I'm so bad at promoting things, and I'm so bad at podcasts, but yeah, so the new one is on HBO on May 10th, and it'll go on. It's 6 episodes. It's called I Know This Much Is True, with Mark Ruffalo. Also, pretty dark, I will tell your listeners, not funny. I am Ruffalo's best friend. I play a lot of people's best friends. Nice. Ruffalo, you know, it's supposed to be, I haven't gotten to see it yet, but it's supposed to be awesome. I think it's just pretty serious from what I hear. So
yeah, well, we all remember his lighthearted turn in I think it was called the Lonely Hearts,
the Normal Heart.
The Normal Heart. That was a very uplifting Mark Ruffalo piece. But I have a question back to comedy for you, really quick.
I just want to flag your not so subtle dig at Mark Ruffalo.
I admire him so much
for no reason, just for no reason.
I was just saying that when he's on HBO, you're not going to recover from what you've seen him in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he has, you know, he could not have foreseen that we would have been in a cataclysmic situation in the world when he decided to do a serious project. And I'm sorry if that bumps with you.
Well, he does play, I found the crusading like lawyer character very well. Sort of the Aaron Brockovich. I just saw Dark Water, which was very, very good. And
I haven't seen that. Yeah. And then he did Spotlight too. Yeah.
Spotlight and then Normal Heart. Yeah. He's very crusading. I like that.
I would also say that the Hulk is crusading. Also.
Definitely a crusader. Yeah.
Dude, it's so funny. The craziest thing was, I do remember like a year ago when we were shooting the HBO thing. And I want to go on the record and say that I have not slammed Ruffalo in this podcast. I'm a fan of Ruffalo. You obviously have some sort of pre-existing beef with Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Also Korean people, also women.
Right. Good.
But the craziest thing was I was shooting with him like a year ago, and we were shooting a scene in this car. So it's just me and him in a car like all day long. And it was the day that the last Avengers came out.
Oh, wow.
And I felt very uncomfortable because I have not seen any of those movies. Like, I don't know any of them. And it's just me and him in a car. And it was the Wednesday or the Thursday it came out, and he was getting text alerts from his team or whatever about, the movie is like the biggest movie ever made, ever. and he was being so cool about it. Like, he was just like if that happened to me, I'd be like, oh shit, look at my movie. It's fucking burning up the box office. He was just like, I just got a text, and oh, cool. Yeah, it's made $600 billion in 5 minutes. It was just like very like adorable how nonchalant he was being about, and like I kept telling him, like, dude, you can fucking, I'm not judging you. Like, you can fucking high five or whatever you want to do. Like, you can honk the horn. Like, And, 5 minutes later, he'd be like, oh, wow, it just made $6 trillion in the first, it kept going up and up and up. And he was like trying to be like so nice about it. And I would have been a fucking asshole about it.
You were you were a UCB guy with Rob Riggle.
Yes.
And UCB obviously has had some trouble lately. I think have they gone under?
RIP UCB East. Yeah. On the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like every single business in the country, like they were like, oh, we don't have people coming in. We can't do this anymore. So, I think the New York one has gone under. The LA one is still shuttered. And, I don't know what the future is for the organization. But obviously that was a huge part of my life. So it's a huge bummer. I think that knowing them as an organization, and what it takes to open a theater, like it'll be back, like a theater, a comedy theater, you just need a stage and some seats and hopefully someone selling beer, but so I think it'll be back. They can't, they won't be able to have like a gigantic theater, but that movement came out of like when I was coming up, it was like a bunch of like scrappy people that just wanted to perform. So it felt very like punk rock almost at the beginning. And I think it got pretty big. I know it got really big in New York, and they had like, a couple big theaters. So maybe it's like natural selection, maybe it's like, well, we can't, that wasn't gonna work out for us, so
right.
I feel like they'll be back. I feel like it'll just be in a smaller, hopefully scrappier
right.
situation.
So my last question is, as you were in I Love You Man, I've watched the blooper reel for that many times. There's one blooper in particular that makes me laugh very hard. It's when you're telling Paul Rudd which celebrities that you've sold real estate to, and you're just coming up with these names, and you say Carrot Top, Donald Sutherland. And he breaks down laughing. It's hysterical. When you are doing a scene like that, has the director given you carte blanche to just improvise names?
Yeah, that movie was a very special movie to me because I think that was one of the first things that I got when I first moved here. And the director is this really funny, cool guy named John Hamburg. And he just, God bless him, just let me do whatever I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And, so my whole, in that sort of situation, Paul Rudd is such a funny guy, like just in general. Like, I feel like my job is to try to fuck him up. So to try to make him laugh. Yeah. And so that becomes like a little bit of a game, and I'm sure other people have told stories like that, but like, yeah. So you're just trying to fuck the other guy up, like you're literally trying to make him laugh. And so it's so fun. And Hamburg was just like letting me go crazy. And so I would just start like, listing weirdos, and obscure famous people that he was trying to sell real estate to, but all of that stuff, he just let me improvise. Like there's a thing about, little tips and tricks for new real estate brokers. And like, I think I said something like, what's your urinal cake situation?
Yeah.
Like,
You can piss on my face in any TGI Fridays or Fuddruckers right now.
Yeah. So that was just like a dumb idea I had, it was like, oh, well, that would be a great idea. If you had a urinal cake with your face on it, people would put that in a urinal and then they would piss on your face, but they would remember you, All of that was just making shit up to try to make Paul Rudd laugh. And it was a total fucking blast.
Hell yeah. Well, Rob Huebel, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on Oops. We can see lots of your work coming out. Obviously, Have a Nice Trip on May 11th on Netflix. He's also got an HBO miniseries coming out with Mark Ruffalo called I Know This Much Is True. And you're also on Medical Police.
I got to jump, guys. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming,
man.
bud.
Take
care.
Easy.
That's Rob Huebel, everybody. He's fantastic. And thanks for joining us on Oops the Podcast. Send us your mistakes, your stories from quarantine to oopsthepodcast@gmail.com, or you can DM them to our Instagram account at Oops the Podcast. I'm Francis Ellis. He's Giulio Gallerati. G, any final thoughts?
That's it, man. Thanks for joining us as always, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.